I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video.
What is up, everybody? We are back for another recap of the show. So, you know what? Let's break this topic because I've heard this is something I might want to put this out here.
Let's go.
Well, the Niners have, former Niners legend, pass rusher Tommy Hart has recently passed away today at the age of 80. I think he had the most sacks in Niners history before there were statistics. So Tommy Hart was number 53 on the Niners during the 70s. Because I have a picture of Cedric Hartman who played with him alongside. So this guy was I had to throw that out there since it was posted by Jesse Sapola that put it out there.
Oh, and how many sacks was it that you said it was the most in Niner history? How many was it? Did it say?
I think he had like 112 or at least more than that. But it didn't count. It wasn't quite an official statistics, but he had I think his season best was 18 sacks.
Massive. That's cool. That's really great. Well, it's great for that, but sad for the loss. But that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, he played with the likes of George Atkinson in college, but he was actually coming from a black college, like Morris Brown or something. So he was one of them underdogs, but he was part of this team, and he was a huge part of their success during the 70s, where they were okay, but they had a little bit of success. But just wanted to put that out there since he passed away at the age of 80.
Oh yeah, and so he didn't go to a Super Bowl with the Niners, yes?
No, he was a part of their coaching staffs. I think he was part of their. Okay. Yeah, Jesse Sapola mentioned something about him being a part of their coaching staff when he was the assistant D-line coach.
Got it. Okay. Well, we're always sad to hear sad news. But what about some Niner news? What have you been hearing? What's going on from last time we talked?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Niners news, this is something that we should be optimistic about. So Travarius Ward and George Kittle expect to play because neither of these guys were at the game against Seattle. So that is good news, right?
Yes. Out of everything that happened from the last game to now, I think this is great news. Kittle is going to be back. We're happy to see that Travarius Ward is back. So this is good news. And then on the not so great news, what have you heard?
I know this is probably something that we had to keep ourselves moderating on this one. So Brock Purdy, he practiced today, but he only practiced it a little bit, and then he just exited out of practice. So I don't know what the issue is. Could it be a little concerning that maybe the shoulder's bothering him? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, the report or something that I saw was that he had soreness in his shoulder. I don't know if it was, I'm guessing and assuming it's the throwing shoulder. So that's what I did. So I did think that was for, just like you said, I think we're just going to have to, keep our ears to the ground and see what happens. And then with Nick, we heard him talk about it last week about now he hurt his other oblique because he overextended.
Yeah, with his other hip, yeah.
So curious to know if he ends up playing this weekend as well. What do you kind of think? In a dream fantasy land, of course, they would both play, but realistically, do you think the likelihood of both of them playing is realistic for this coming up Sunday for Green Bay, or do you think we'll have Barack but maybe not Nick?
I think probably more than likely you're probably going to get Brock more than Nick. I don't know about the both of them, but it'd be kind of shocker if Nick Bosa goes out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think there also runs the risk of him, like you had mentioned earlier, injuring himself even more. So it makes it worse down the line. So it might be better to just kind of rest him until he feels
a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least at a strength where he can still play. But I think he's not really like, it just doesn't seem right to put him back. But if he can play through it, I guess he just needed the rest. But I still think you're probably going to need him at his full best. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just saw, I feel, what an impact he does make. I know a lot of times we're like, he didn't do good or he should have sacked. But I felt like with the last game with the Seahawks, we saw the impact of what having Nick Bosa on the team is. So we do definitely want him, healthy and well to play.
Yeah, he makes pressures and he makes impact plays at times. So maybe the sack stats don't go up as much as everybody says, but he makes plays when he has to. So he does give you the pressure. But without him, the production of the plays from other offense, it goes from 3.2 to like 6 point something. So that's a huge drop off.
Yeah, that's big. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. How do we feel about last week and our score prediction? Should I go over what we thought and what we got?
Yeah, we can put what went wrong on this one. But yeah, we can. As far as score prediction, I was a little off. I believe I said 2 touchdown wins, and we just lost by 3. So you were closer out of this one.
Yes. For the record, since I wrote it down, you said 31-17, and I said 31-24.
Well, 17 was about kind of like almost there, but it just seemed like it was the opposite scoreboard.
I'll give it to you. Okay. That's fine. Yes. So the loss, how did you feel about it? What was your instant reaction?
Losing to them was just unexpected. Like, I don't know what it was, but they made some changes, and I think a lot of it, what really hurt us was the penalties. Like, they were killing the drives, and even when we wanted to convert those other drives, we weren't able to. And even when we wanted to kick field goals, we just weren't able to do that. Like, we only got 1 field goal and only 2 touchdowns. So we didn't really get much going on offense as usual.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially in the fourth quarter with the penalties. I think it was like for me, it's another kind of, here we go. We were in the lead. We could have put them away. And yet again, we didn't. So it was kind of a disappointment there. And I agree with you. I thought we were going to win. It was a disappointing loss for sure. I also would love to hear what are your thoughts of when Geno Smith had that last touchdown in the fourth quarter and he did the little Steph Curry go to sleep. What did you think of that and how and why he did that? What did you think of that?
I think the way how Geno made that play was I think it was just something to get off his back because Geno just has never had success against the 49ers. Like, even if he has good statistics at times, he was never able to beat the Niners. But in this game, this was something that he had to prove. So we allowed this guy to run and get that touchdown. And when he did that Steph Curry night thing, it was just like a sign of disrespect, but then a sign of him like saying, like, finally I get to beat this team.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it was definitely because we've always had their number. And for the first time, he got ours. And I still think it's disappointing. It was disappointing. I think me and you both had the Niners winning in this game. And it was even before the season started, a circle of like, yeah, we got it. So I definitely feel the hurt for it. Do you feel, since the talk around and people have been talking about, what's going to happen, what's happening to this team, do you feel like this is such a crucial game that it really shows whether this team is going to go all the way or not? Is this the game that counts?
I think this Packers game will determine otherwise. I mean, playing Green Bay, if we can come away with a victory in Green Bay, then it can build confidence because we should have won the Seahawks game. Mm-hmm. So that's a bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
Do we respond this week against Green Bay with a different mindset, or do we just get as worse as it is. You know, I don't know which team we're going to get.
Right. I hear you. I think the Seahawks game was important for it's a divisional game, right? So I think it's important for that for sure. But I definitely agree with you. I think this Green Bay game has a lot more on the line in the sense of who are we and making the definition of who the Niners are again, because you are right. Now they're going to the East Coast. In addition, they do have a bad taste in their mouth over what happened with the Seahawks. So I think this will give them the steam, and I think this will be the game that I'm hoping it all meshes together finally. You know, the glue that kind of comes together.
Yeah, I hope so. But I think this is what hey, shout out to Moses. I haven't seen this man in a minute. Let's see. What up, CG? Per Sherman, the Niners need to get their shit together like the Raiders do. Yeah, I like watching Sherman's podcast. He does put on some good stuff. He kind of speaks it like it is.
Yeah.
What I don't get, everyone and their mother knows, you don't play man-to-man in the red zone, maybe quarter man zone, but not man-to-man with no safety. He's got a good point because he knows the position. He's played it, so I think that was our discipline and mistake. We should have not done that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not man-to-man in red zone, less field? Yeah, it's less field. When you don't want to give these other teams like little extra yards of separation. That's the problem. If they played a little bit of something different, it would have been better, but they didn't do that.
I also think Kyle should have spread out some of the players and their plays. I think, again, Jordan Mason could have had more plays too, or more touches, and that could have made a difference as well. I know it's CMC and CMC's back, and there was all this hype about it, like he was going to fix everything, and clearly he can't, right? And he's just one person. But I do think having I don't know. I'm a big fan of Jordan Mason. I think he did great. He's kind of proven himself while CMC wasn't there, and now that he's back, I feel like there should be more of an equal balance, because I think that would have made a difference too.
Yeah, equal balance, because I think, to be fair, Mason was on a roll before he hurt his shoulder, but now that he's kind of looking a little bit fresh, he looks like a little more explosive back to what he was. So maybe Shanahan can balance the running game. Since we're playing Green Bay, I don't expect this much of a passing offense. I think we're going to run the ball a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, I think the same thing. In addition, I think that Green Bay's offense, I think, is pretty good. So our defense kind of needs to come alive too and put pressure on. Do you know they call Jordan Love J-Lo? Have you heard that already on the internet?
Yeah, I think they gave him the nickname kind of like exactly what the singer is or whatever. It's like weird, but partly because it goes with the name.
Right.
I think for Jordan Love, like going against this guy, he's got all the tools and physical traits that you like at quarterback, but he kind of makes a lot of mistakes. He kind of puts his team in harm's way at times. Like watching Green Bay's, since we're going into the topic with this matchup preview with Green Bay, you know, the thing that doesn't impress me about Green Bay is the opponents they played. They didn't even dominate them. So it's like, how can I take the Packers serious if they didn't dominate these opponents?
Yeah. Okay. That's very valid. Very, very valid. Yeah. Their season. I also think I agree with you. And I also saw the stat that Jordan Love has the most interceptions in the whole league.
He gets too careless with the football. Mm-hmm. See, Green Bay just doesn't seem like the Super Bowl contenders that everybody's talking about. Like, okay, you play teams like these other teams like Tennessee and Indianapolis and those other teams like Jacksonville, and you barely beat them. How is that even? How are you any good? The Lions just destroyed the Jags.
Right. Well, yeah, of course, yeah, of course.
But nasty. But imagine facing this Niners team that's just like at least a little bit healthy. How they're going to match up with a much healthier Niners team. I just don't know how they're going to match up. They just don't show it. Like the next game, they look pretty solid. The next game, they just look average. So you don't know which Packers team you're getting. Like you look at the Packers receiving core, they can have a great game, And then the following weeks, they don't even have a good performance. Majority of them either drop the ball or don't even look good.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't think that they're top of the line at all, but at the same time, I think we're pretty mediocre too at the moment. Like, so I think the matchup comes into, I
Like
almost
even
want to say, yeah, but don't you also think there's a part of it that the weather is going to play a factor?
no,
Like,
the weather. I think the weather factors into like not quite much of a passing game. Like you're gonna probably see me. I think it's more gonna factor in which like it's probably gonna be more of a defensive game. But I think it's going to come down to the 20s. I just think that McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey and Mason are going to have a huge factor, and I think you open more up to that offense. But yeah, I think it's going to factor away from the passing game for sure.
Okay, yeah. I was just kind of thinking with Barack, I know that it seemed like he doesn't do well in the cold or with the slippery hands. Remember that? So that was concerning to me. So I was like, and I think this is the first time we're East Coast now, right? Isn't this our first East Coast game? We go back next week, right?
No, next week will be in Buffalo. I think Green Bay is considered West Coast.
No, it's not West Coast. We're West Coast. They're Midwest. There we
Midwest.
go.
Yeah, Midwest, but they're not East Coast. They're probably like Mountain Time type of.
There we go. Yes, right? Because yes, they're by Chicago. So I don't know. I'm also curious to see how we do traveling and weather. So I'm also curious to see how this team just does.
Yeah, I think what makes it more favorable for us is like I think it's just going to have to come down to who runs the ball better. And if we can slow down Josh Jacobs, we have a better chance. And then I don't think their offense is going to have to be as explosive because I think as long as you take away the big plays from them, it can be challenging for them.
Yes, I did have that on my notebook too. Josh Jacobs would be the one that they would have to look out for. And then I did also do research and saw that, I don't know the first name. Is it Jair Alexander on the Green Bay? He might not play. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Who may not pull Jair Alexander?
Yeah. I'm
looking at the reports because he hasn't been practicing, but I don't know if he's been listed. Like, has he been practicing or has he been limited?
Oh, I heard what I saw. He didn't practice all week so far.
Ooh, so if he doesn't play this Sunday, then that's a big difference. But I don't know. He might play, or maybe I'll have to look it up. But I might have to keep that in mind because not having him can actually hurt Green Bay even more.
Yeah, so there's that. And then also, what do you think of this side note? Do we remember now? We know that Robert Saleh got fired from the Jets, but he's on Green Bay. Isn't he like helping Green Bay, but on the offense side?
Yeah, he's kind of given the Packers offense a look of what to expect from the Niners defense, but it's been a little different. It's a different. Okay. It's a different run system. I don't think it's exactly like it used to be. I think he's just kind of like giving looks at what to expect. But
yeah, that was the only thing I was thinking. I was like, I wonder if they're like going to be like, hey, do you have any notes or anything you think of? So yeah, I thought of that, and I was like, I wonder. I mean, for sure that they're gonna talk to him, but
yeah,
our team does look different for sure.
Yeah, they say he's been questionable for weeks, Jair Alexander. But if he doesn't play, that does kind of take away a good cornerback because then it makes it easier for us to pass the ball a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, no, I was going back and forth because of the things of who's playing Bosa and now Barack with his shoulder and this, and that. But overall, I do believe that the Niners, have the number own Green Bay? Because we've done it over and over and over again. And I've heard it. I've said it somewhere and somebody, maybe it was during a tweet, and they were like, well, didn't you own Seahawks too? And you're right. And I was wrong. But I think I'm feeling pretty good about this game.
Yeah, I think this is more of a bounce back game. I think we were taking Seattle very lightly. And to be honest with you, we didn't even have Kittle out there because if you saw how the running game wasn't quite the same. Yeah. Like Eric Solberg was so bad at blocking at times that they even had to put Jalen Moore out there. I think having Kittle back is going to make a huge boost to the running game. So as long as we're able to maintain the clock, and whether Brock plays or not, if it has to come down to Brandon Allen, which I God hope it doesn't happen, just don't mess up and just win the game.
Well, yeah, the no turnovers is a big one, and the penalties really kill us. And your best friend Brendel got us a penalty too, didn't he, in that last game?
Yeah. Oh man, that guy's been he averages every penalty a game.
He really does.
Yeah, but speaking of who stood out and who didn't, I mean, I guess since you want to throw that out there, okay, so I'm gonna just say, hey, Mr. Jauan Jennings had a really good game against Seattle, and he had a touchdown, so he was pretty much the star of the game.
You picked him. You picked him last week. I have it in here. Yep, you picked him. Jauan Jennings. You said was going to go over 100 yards.
He almost had it, but I guess I was short on that one. But he was 9 yards short. Mm-hmm. But he had a touchdown. So almost there.
Yes. So and he did, and every time I see him on the field, I'm really happy.
Yeah, and he doesn't even separate, but he makes the contested catches. That's what really matters.
Yes,
he'll fight for the ball.
He will. Yeah, I'm a big Jauan Jennings fan. As far as who I think stood out, I mean, I don't want to steal your same person, so who do I think? I mean, I was happy that Brock did a touchdown. I mean, he moved, but I don't know if he necessarily stood out. I don't. Other than Jauan Jennings, and I hate to steal your own person, I just don't feel that there was that umph in this game.
I mean, I guess we could have an agreement on Jauan Jennings. So, okay.
All right, we'll take that. He really was.
It's fair. It's fair because I don't think there was like outside of Jauan Jennings, who can we think of? Like Brock had okay.
Right.
Let's see. Brock was okay. Christian McCaffrey has always been average, so I don't know.
No, he didn't do anything that like stood out or did a touchdown or anything. Kittle was
but missing Bosa did hurt, but he did stood out.
Okay, so then then if we're gonna do that, then yeah, he would be the one that stood out in the sense of when he was missing, it was very evident that he was gone. But also it made me think did Pearsall even play last?
He was a non-factor. They only targeted him twice and he didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I was just thinking about players and I was like, wait, did I even see him? Yeah, Debo didn't do anything. So yeah, I think to be really honest, Jauan Jennings for sure. And you're right. When you take away, you see the factor of Bosa. One that stood out to me was Ronaldo Green. He said a lot of heart. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, we lost to Rams. Jimmy had playbook. Vikes had playbook. Saleh for sure does, but they told Trey, we don't need your info. That's kind of funny. Let's see. Ronaldo Green, I guess we can make an argument. He is playing good football. Ronaldo Green's been playing really good, so that's under the radar. I mean, Lenore did okay. I like that one hit he did on the Seattle player where he made that nice tackle and just hit him hard.
49ers scrimmage. Okay, yes. I see what Rick is saying.
Yeah, I think we just have to control and stop with the penalties. That's what pretty much killed us. But who stood out and who did it? Okay, so I guess we can all agree, but you can come up with something different. But I'll take this out the way since you said this is my buddy Brendo. Well, he ain't my buddy. So it's Brendo. Brendo and McKivitz. They both. Well, actually, McKivitz didn't look too bad. I mean, in the couple of plays he was looking like crap, but in the end of in the rest of the game he did okay. So I guess I'll give McKivitz some slack on this one, even though I want to trash him so bad. I'll give him some slack on that one. I think when it comes down to it, Brendel just isn't the answer, and he's been great at the worst, and he hasn't shown me the sign of like, hey, he's our guy at center. No, he's not. I just don't understand what they see in this guy. Isn't John Feliciano still available, and we haven't even got him off IR yet? What's going on?
Yeah, that was a good thing that it's actually a question I was going to ask about. What is going on with him? Is he not playing? Because I thought he came back when McCaffrey came back.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. And yeah, the more and more that you've brought up like Brendel to me and I'm actually paying attention and watching him, I'm like, dude, you're hella right. Like this dude sucks. And now that he's costing us and making penalties and stuff like that, I'm like, why is he on this team?
It's because, we want to know why he's on this team.
Because he has a buddy. Who's his buddy?
Chris Forrester, his Wisconsin buddy, whatever they call him, Madison, Wisconsin, wherever they're from, Milwaukee. Well, I don't know what they are, but they seem like buddies because there's that connection in Miami. So that's what it was.
I mean, I don't think that's valid enough to keep you on a team.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm not trying to hate on the guy, but how are you the starter? You weren't even competing for the starting job. You were handed the job because Alex Mack retired, or else they should have been competing. Yeah, I throw that out there. Alex Mack retired. If it wasn't Alex Mack retiring, he wouldn't be starting.
So basically, got it by luck.
And he was handed the job like that. Nope, that's not how you earn the job. But yeah, that's why I say he's trash. You got to at least earn it.
Right? Didn't he block you on Twitter?
Yeah, he still has me blocked on Twitter, but on Instagram, I don't think he's even bothered. I don't think he's flinching anymore. Maybe he's kind of buying into it.
Right? Maybe he's like, you know what? Sichi was right. Okay, so what are we saying in the chats? Our season is over and next year's draft.
I'm not gonna think that way. I don't think of that mindset.
We still have games left. I mean, I think it's important because I think this is like the talk of the town. I think we still have games left, and this game is going to be big.
Yeah, draft is the last thing I want to even worry about. That I don't know what I think about.
The ref stood out. Okay, I get the ref.
Two timeouts from Seattle straight, and they didn't even get a 5-yard penalty off of that. So yeah, you can't change center during must-win games, but you can make a change at some point down the road because Brendel isn't it, man. Like how much do I bet you another offensive line coach wouldn't even want Brendel starting? I bet you if it wasn't for Chris Forrester, he wouldn't be a starter anywhere else.
Wow.
He's only here because of Chris Forrester.
What's up with the contract? How long does the dude have left?
It's avoidable. Like next year's avoidable. That means they can avoid his contract without even paying a cap hit out of it. His contract next year is avoidable. It's year to year.
So they could do it any time. There's no money that's at loss.
Yeah, we can cut them at any time, but the question is, we've kind of missed on some opportunities to get somebody better than Brendel. Like, the guy from the Raiders, right? That center.
Mm-hmm.
We could have got him in the first round. Nope.
Oh.
We didn't get Jackson Powers Johnson, whatever his name, from Oregon. He could have been better. Or let me see, Zach Frazier from the Steelers. He's a good center. Let me name you another one. Bo Limmer, and he's the backup center from the Rams, and he's playing better football. And he's actually and he's making it controversial for the Rams offensive line right now. So he's listed as a really good center, but we didn't draft him.
But do you think okay, and I hear what you're saying, and I agree, I think we should replace him. But out of all the issues we have, I think that it's probably the last one on their list, right?
It would be the center position and maybe the tackle, but that's about as issue it is. I don't feel like the line's that big of a deal, but everybody keeps saying, well, the offensive line is great at good. How is it great at good when your offensive or your center just gets beat or doesn't do his assignment right? How is that even rank? That doesn't make sense.
I hear what you're saying. I don't know. I guess I was thinking that if I had to switch or invest money, if you know where I'm going to say it, special teams. I'm going to go straight to special teams and be like, if this doesn't get fixed, because again, there's so many games that it comes down to a field goal that makes the difference. So that's where I would assume that they would invest their money first versus Brendel. But I had no idea his contract was voidable. That's kind of
it's year to year on his contract.
Yeah. So that also means he doesn't have to perform, right? In a way, he doesn't have the pressure like all the other people.
No, he still has to perform if he wants to stick around, but I guess he's getting the favoritism. That's the problem.
Yeah. Oh, and let's talk about favoritism. That's a topic that's around the town. Do you feel that Kyle Shanahan does favoritism with certain players and they are in the game more than others?
Yeah, unfortunately, there is the definition of what we see in today's sports. There is favoritism in all sports. Like you see it with a lot of guys, but Kyle does have his favorites. Like for example,
Debo.
Debo becomes a favorite, but he overuses them. That's the problem. But then it
Mhm.
comes down to Christian McCaffrey. Like, come on, dude, are you gonna give him too many loads, even though he refuses to get off the field, bro? I don't care. Guys, gotta
Right.
switch up with Mason a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's hurt him, and I think that's where these conversations
Yeah,
come up too, is because I
yeah, yeah.
feel that would make such a difference too with the whole team.
Yeah, yeah. And why do we have to favorite certain veterans? If they're not performing well, they need to be benched. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like Brendo, you're the only reason why you're not benching him because you're trusting Chris Forrester's little coke coke brain.
Yeah.
That's
So
you're taking his trust. That's the only reason why you're not benching him, or else you would. Um,
mhm.
I would think Devondre Campbell shouldn't be starting no more, but you're only starting him because you think of his experience and because you're familiar with him in Atlanta. That's the only reason why you have him out there.
Mm.
I think that's favoritism. He would have been cut.
Yeah, it's apparent. I feel like I saw it the Seahawks game more than other games of you're clearly, especially with the whole why didn't you play Jordan Mason, and I feel like I didn't even see Pearsall. I'm like, he's not playing and making it balanced, which to me this was the time it really stood out because I've been hearing that, and now I felt like I saw it with that game.
Yeah, you're seeing that he's not doing his assignments too. Like Devondre Campbell is just not too quick on his reaction, and the play with Geno Smith that shouldn't have happened. He should have been at his position to make a stop. He did that against Kyler Murray too, and Kyler Murray ran a 50-yard touchdown just like that.
Yeah. Do you feel, with even the talk of the town, do you feel that the Niners, and I'm trying to put this in the right terms, but look tired? And this is what I mean by look tired. They have played more games than a lot of other teams. Super Bowl, do you think there's still that notion, or do you think everything's fine with the team? They just have some mishaps.
Maybe it's just because of the injuries, in part because of the lack of the work they put in. Do they look tired? They probably look like they've been outperformed. Maybe that's what you would call tired, but I think they've just been outperforming or outcoached by other people. So you kind of like, yeah.
Do you feel like that also
Oh.
started with camp? Because I feel like some of it started with camp of like, wasn't not everyone always there?
The camp part is when you want to get all the chemistry and all that stuff together. But I think a lot of the players, like you saw with Trent Williams, he didn't show up. Of course, what you expect for him. But Brandon Ayuk, if he would have showed up, maybe this would have been good. But nope.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Miguel? Go follow my guy. He's got a good follower on TikTok. Yeah, that dude's cool.
Hey, Miguel. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, you know who he is, Miguel Extreme.
Yeah, I think so. I think we follow each other.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, I feel like we're just favoring too many of these guys, and I think that's what's hurting us. And then the communication with the team, the chemistry, it's just, I feel like it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Like for certain players, like Christian McCaffrey's getting a couple games under his belt.
Yes.
You're seeing a lot of guys in and out. It's just not there yet. So how's that going to work? But they should have other guys step in and play better. They're just not performing well.
Yeah, I feel like I've been saying this since camp that like something wasn't, and I thought maybe because of the Ayuk, waiting to get paid. But I had heard from like other friends too. I'm like, something's weird. And I was like, whatever. Once we start playing, first game with the Jets, that was fine. But there was just something that I still to this day I can't put my finger on it. Of like, it just feels like something isn't there, but I don't know what it is.
The problem is this front office just takes too long for these contracts to get done. But I think getting Lenore paid at this point was a good timing, so they don't have to deal with it next offseason. So I just look at it. I look at it more like, they did it. They did this to themselves. If they were gonna move on from Ayuk, they should have just traded with no hesitation and just move on if they felt somebody. Yeah. We have so many problems. We've been through worse. Hopefully, we make the playoffs. I hope so too. We've been making a lot of messes in here and there. So
Yeah,
we've been having special team problems. Special teams have been our downfall
it
because
has been.
it's been our downfall all season. Like I don't even think it's our defense that's been hurting us at times. I think our defense has been playing really well, and I think our offense just been underperforming. But then you kind of include like bad special team plays, it's killed us.
I disagree with you with the defense because I feel like our defense at one point, especially last year, we were like scary. People didn't want to play the Niners. And I think the defense doesn't have that same
It doesn't.
attitude.
Yeah, it's not the same, but it's not as bad as everybody says.
It's not as
Like,
bad, but it's definitely not like the big bullies are here in town because I've seen it myself. I've seen Fred miss something right in front of him. I miss Bosa just holding on to whatever,
And that's the problem right there. We're letting teams stick around. It's because our offense is underperforming. We got to stop kicking field goals. Like, if we can get through a lot of touchdowns and our defense can hold up a little bit here and there, we have a chance to win. But if we keep kicking field goals, it's just going to keep teams around.
Well, it's also Kyle too in some of the plays because there have been plays where I'm like, why aren't you running it in? Why are you going for the field goal? Like, run the ball in. So I also feel like some of the play calling has been off this season, or I just don't agree with.
Yeah, it's been a little off on his game a little bit. Like his play calling has been unpredictable. Like at times he looks brilliant, and then you're just like scratching your head, like why did he do that? It's just some of it. Just our offense doesn't have that burst like last year. Yeah, I just don't think they're performing really well. And missing a guy like Ayuk kind of does hurt a little bit of your offense, but you're expecting more out of Pearsall. But outside of Debo, what's Debo done all year?
Nothing.
Like
I wanted us to trade him. Remember, I was like,
trade him for a value, but I think his value is what it is. Like I think we're probably gonna move on with him next year. So I don't think.
Yeah, I think so too. Unless Kyle tries to
find a way to keep him around.
Yeah,
he favors him too much. Well, if Debo takes another pay cut for next year, that's gonna be crazy. And then it's gonna be like, oh, okay, I guess he ain't going nowhere. But
I don't know because now we have to pay Brock. So, or I don't know how that's gonna look. And don't we have to pay Jordan Mason too?
I think Mason's here for another year. He's on his rookie contract. I think he's on his rookie contract. Yeah, Kyle does love Debo.
He does, but he hasn't done nothing this year. And I said when it was a trade deadline, I really wanted to trade him. I mean, oh look, I have it in my notes. Trade Debo. See, I wanted to trade him.
But now Kyle has no other choice but to force himself into Jennings now. He's going to love Jennings now. He's already liking Jennings. Now he's already putting him ahead of Pearsall.
Yeah, so we're seeing that already, which it's fine. I mean, I love Jennings, but I'm also kind of sad that, like, hasn't Jennings been with us for a minute? And now I feel like we're seeing more of him. Like,
we're seeing what he's capable of. Like, I've been pretty high on Jennings since we drafted him in Tennessee. I felt like his ceiling was good, but he just didn't get the opportunity. Yeah, Debo is going to stay until he retires. Kyle will not. See, I agree on that part. Like, I agree on what Papa J is saying. Like, I think Debo is the guy that's probably going to stick around, but it took a long time to get rid of Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell's he's still on our roster. He's just on IR, but he ain't coming back. We need to get Cowan and Conley more involved. Why is he even like the fact that they don't even get these guys involved is a joke. Like sometimes, like why are we putting Ronnie Bell? He doesn't separate. He doesn't really do nothing.
I know why.
Does he have a blackmail on Kyle or something? Because it seems like he's that kind.
Over what though? What do you think it would be?
Or does Jake Brendel have a blackmail on Chris Forrester to keep him around? Is that why he still has a job? Is that why Brendel's still our starting center because he has something against Chris Forrester? I don't know.
Yes, I'm gonna say yes. I don't know what it is, but the answer is yes.
Yeah, we need to get Cowan involved because he's very explosive. He's got some juice, and maybe mix in some run plays with Garando. Garando's got speed. Like once you open that hole, that guy can go from 5 yards to like what is it, like 60 yards plus, and maybe a touchdown.
Okay, so you're gonna have to help me now. Isn't Cowing and Pearsall? Didn't we get Pearsall first and then Cowing?
Yeah. Pearsall's he's supposed to be a good route runner.
But here goes my question. Would this mean that Kyle, does one have an upper advantage versus the other? Do you know what I mean? Like, would it be proper for him to have Pearsall like play more than the other one, or no?
No, I think Pearsall is just like a guy who runs routes. He's probably going to get maybe 6 to 4 targets a game until Kyle trusts him. I think Kyle's only giving him this amount of touches. He doesn't want to put too much pressure on him. Like,
okay.
He's trusting more. He's trusting more on Jennings. So I think Jennings is earning the right of getting 12 plus targets a game now, because you're looking at the production. It's showing right now. But Debo, I think he's only getting 6 targets. What is it, like 7 targets or so?
Yeah.
And he's not really making the most out of them.
Yeah, that's true. I think he hasn't built that yet, but for sure Jennings is going to be is his top guy.
Yeah, I think that's the guy that Brock's going to have to always rely on, because there's nobody else. Like, hey, well, Debo can't be open all the time. Then you got Kittle back. That's going to be reliable.
Yeah, and that's what I'm excited to do, because Kittle also does really well in the red zone when we have him there. So that's going to make a really big difference in this game too, because
the running game's going to be a huge difference, because he does a lot more, because the struggles you saw the struggles on Seattle. We just couldn't be able to get those big runs because Eric Sobert isn't quite all that. And then they had to go into the backup tackle to be the other tight end. Come on.
Yeah. And then
what's so hard about the blocking assignment?
And then what Papa J was saying, he makes me feel like, with that statement, makes me feel like do you think that Debo is going to retire a Niner? Because I think who deserves to retire a Niner from this would be Kittle.
Well, Kittle's played his longest career, but I think Debo is a guy that Kyle's just very high on. He just, I don't know. He's probably going to find a way to make it work with him for some reason. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it's not the last of them next year. I don't know. It just would not be a shocker, because Ayuk's injury, he may not be back until later in the season next year. So we don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Mikhail. I think Kittle, and you know who else who's another one, would be Warner for me. I think Kittle, CMC, Warner, for me, I personally feel like they retire as
I think in this offense, it can evolve a lot more, but you're going to need that reliable guy that you can count on, and you're seeing it from Jennings. So I think Jennings has proven that he can earn his keep on this team going forward and doesn't need to go anywhere else, and he can finish his career with the Niners. I think the more opportunities you're giving him, the more you're going to feel like, well, I don't need Debo anymore. I got this big guy. He may not be fast, but I can at least, and then you can move those other receivers to play slot that have speed. Because Jennings don't have speed as a slot. He's just a solid slot receiver, but if you put him at X, he's reliable. Yeah, nobody's going to pay the money for a talent that Debo is offering. The Niners are stuck with him. Yeah, they're stuck with him, but they can trade him if they choose to, but they have to cut off his cap space a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we're pretty much reached the final conclusion, but let's get on to our final score prediction. Yeah, score prediction. So since we're talking about the Niners and Packers, you know what? I want to talk about who's going to have a good game. I don't know. So for my X factor, man, it's going to be crazy. I think the X factor is, I'm just such a Jennings homer. I'm just going to go Jennings all week.
You picked him 3 weeks now in a row.
Okay. Okay, that's a disqualification. All right. I'll go George Kittle. George Kittle's going to have a touchdown. He's going to have a really good game. He's going to do well in the block, like in the run game and all that. So I'll go George Kittle for this one. And it's just, I just can't help myself. I'm a Jennings holic.
A Jennings holic. I love it. Well, you took mine. I took Kittle, so okay, that's fine. I'm gonna switch. I know, right? I'll take Jennings. Well, I want to know if Jordan Mason plays because I want to pick Jordan Mason.
Well, you could pick Jordan Mason because this is going to be more of a running game because you're going to expect more of Mason because in this cold weather, you may not be able to have much of an offense to throw the ball as often. So you may have to require more of a running game.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Jordan Mason.
Okay, but Jordan Mason will only get like some good runs here and there. But so you're gonna go Jordan Mason with the gamble. Okay, so I guess I'll go Kittle, and he'll go CMC for the first touchdown. Okay. The more one plays the game, but Kyle is doing injustice to rookies and all that. Yeah, I think we're gonna see some of the Mason, and then maybe a little mix of Garendo. We'll see. But I feel
for
like
some reason, not that I want this to be true, but I don't know. I was kind of like, I wonder if the weather, and here I am with the weather and the cold, will affect CMC, and maybe Jordan Mason will play more, or maybe that's a thing that someone's advised, like, keep him fresh. I don't know, or maybe it's cold therapy and it does him good. But I mean, I know CMC for sure is probably going to get more touches than Jordan Mason, but I think that's just what I'm being hopeful. That's what I'm putting. I still think Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see a Kittle game where he is going to be a huge difference in the win of this winning the game or not. So I'll say, even though I think Kittle's going to have at least somewhere in between, I guess, 60 to 70 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
But I do think this wouldn't surprise me. I will go on a limb and put it as a wild card. I could see Jennings have another monster game because who can cover that guy? I think it's going to be another 9. It's going to be maybe almost 100 yards, but it's going to be another repeated performance because he's averaging, 11 targets or 12 targets a game?
Yeah, it's pretty high.
It's pretty high, and it's not going to go any lower at this point. So I can see Jennings' production keep increasing. Yeah. Joanna-holic. I'm a Joanna-holic. I can't help myself.
Make a shirt.
Yeah, or Joanna-holic. But okay, so what would Jordan Mason have in the production? Do you think he's going to have a huge factor, maybe a touchdown, or how many yards do you think he's going to get?
I would love for the kid to have a touchdown. I'm hoping he gets if he gets 15 touches, I think that'd be great. I think he can run. I really do. I think he's fast. I hate to say that he's faster than CMC, but at this point right now, I don't think CMC is still up to par of what he was.
Up to par yet.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Mason's even younger than him, so I hate to say that. I think youth might also benefit him.
Yeah, it may.
Yeah, so I would love to see a Jordan Mason touchdown, 15 touches. I hope this ends up being a good game for him and Jennings.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a good running game. I think we're going to almost have 200 yards rushing, so that might be the X factor. So yeah, we'll agree on that one. So score prediction, I'm gonna go.
What are you putting?
I already put my scoreboard, so I said 27-20 49ers. We're gonna win by 7 points.
You said 27-20?
Yeah, 27-20. What's your score?
I went too high then. I said 34-31.
Oh, it's going to be a shootout. So 34-31. So we're going to win by a field goal?
Yeah, because it always comes down to a field goal.
Oh, so this is going to be a high score offense, a good running game. So the passing game is going to be like a shootout. Okay, I like that.
I want to see something. Because I think also this score to me proves that the Niners, I don't want to say are back, but I think it's going to give them that gusto. I think it gives the fans like, okay, here we go. We're getting our mojo back. Like, we can do it. And we're battling and still staying in the game and ahead and beat them. So that's why I picked this score.
Okay, that's fair enough. So you can put that as a score. Okay, so I think we pretty much covered everything. So you can tell everybody where they can find your social media platform, and then we'll end it and see each other next week.
Where am I? I am on TikTok. You can find me on Life with Lady A. I know I go by Bella here, but my name's Antonella, and everyone says Bella because it's easier. So you can find me there. And then let's go Niners, you guys. Let's win this game on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see each other on Thursday next week. So, yeah, we'll definitely see what the outcome is.
Yes. Bye, guys. See you next week.